Welcome to day 12 of my 100 Days of Webflow challenge. Today we're going to optimize a Webflow website before launch and get that best Google Lighthouse score. I'm going to share with you my personal checklist that helped me get accepted in the Webflow Expert program in the first place, and that includes all the steps I take before I publish any Webflow website for my client. So to see this process in action, we're going to optimize the website that we've been building in the past 2 days, the design subscription agency website. And we'll go through the checklist and get that best Google Lighthouse score for that page. I got 100, by the way. So without further ado, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and let's get to work. Okay, so first things first, this is our checklist. This is the checklist that I go through every time I publish a new website on Webflow. So it's just good to go through these stuff, even if you know them by heart. It's just good to go through this checklist and make sure everything is in order. So let's do that on our website that we built yesterday. So I'm going to put the checklist on the side and go through these changes. So first things first, we go to the page settings. So page settings, we just need to make sure that these are all optimized. First thing is favicon needs to be an icon of 32 times 32. Now I already have this here. I created this based on the images that we created from Midjourney yesterday in the previous episode. Make sure to watch that. And then we'll upload the web clip, which is 256 by 256. So this is done. Check, check. Next is localization and language code. So now it's good to use localization. The language code, like usually, if you're using an English website, you just go in EN. And if not, you just go to the list of language codes and see what language you need to use. Next is Webflow branding and made in Webflow badge. So let's remove those. Made in Webflow badge, display the Webflow branding in HTML. We'll remove those. We set them off. Next is check 301 directs. Now this is mainly if you have a published domain, but if you don't, this is not relevant. But if you have a published domain, it's good to check the 301 directs under publishing to see that there is nothing created automatically and that nothing is disrupted on your page. Next is advanced publishing options enabled. So here's advanced publishing option. Just enable those to make sure that everything is optimized. Check. Auto-generate sitemap. Again, this is something for published domains. So if you go on SEO, you can auto-generate a sitemap once you have your domain connected. Subdomain indexing. This is also for published domains. Now we don't need to index this subdomain. We'll need to use it. So let's just leave it. Unused fonts. Now I didn't download any fonts, so there is nothing to worry about there. But if you downloaded custom fonts, make sure that you're only using the ones that are there and delete any ones that you are not using. Next, we go to the page designer. Now that this is done, we go to the second part of the checklist. So first thing is navbar. We set navbar as a component. Now this is good practice if you're using the navbar across different pages, and that's what we usually do, unless you create different variations of this. Now this is set as a component. Logo links to homepage. Now logo links to homepage, page, home. So this is good practice. And then we check the links if they work. Now the links, these links will be scrolling you down to different parts of the page. And in order to do that, we will need to give ID names to these sections that we want to scroll down to. Now, this is also something in the checklist that we go through later on, which is here, elements tag. But since we want to link these, so let's just do them now. So for the header, we'll just call it header. We'll give it the tag of header so that we know that this is the header section. For the main section as well, we'll give it the tag main. So this is the main. Now for the features section, we'll just call this features, and it's tagged sections, features. And then for about section and for project, not blog, and then pricing section, and then testimonial section, the CTA section, and then the footer section, which will be called footer. Now we're going to link this from here as well. So we'll make sure that the footer as well works. So let's just do the same thing. The logo leads to homepage. These links take you to the section. So you go on section, you choose, this goes to header, this goes to features, the about link goes to about section, projects link goes to project section, pricing link goes to pricing section, testimonial to testimonial. Same thing, we'll do it with the navbar. So in the features, we click section, and then the section will be features, about, section, about, projects, section, project, pricing, section, pricing, testimonial, section, testimonial. Very good. And then maybe the contact, also section, CTA, let's say. All right, so these links work. The logo link to have a description tag. Now this has a custom description which says logo. You can customize that, let's say logo level flow, and make sure that it has a tag. Just need to make sure that it has that. Text link are active, and then hover and active states. So since we use the template, there is this subtle hover animation. We'll just keep that. We'll just make sure it's active. Responsiveness. Now, when it comes to tablet breakpoints, usually these nav bars, if they're set to break down, to minimize, you'll have a drop down. So just make sure that this drop down is working. It's not in default gray color, and it's good to test that. Now, in our case, this is done. Next, let's clean unused classes from Style Manager. So go to the page, go to the Style Manager, clean up all these classes. I have 56 classes that I'm not using, so I'm going to clean them up. So check that. Next, we'll need to clean up the unused interaction. So let's clean that up. We'll go to interactions. We'll go to cleanup, and we'll clean all these interactions. Now, these came with the template component that we've been using, so just make sure to clean them. Pixel to REM migrator. Now this is optional, but I like to use it. I have the FinSuite extension. You can download this and go to client first, PX to REM migrator, and then migrate everything that is in PX to REM. This is good practice so that you have everything in one scale, and REM is a good scale for responsiveness. Next is opt for overflow clip. So this is a trick that Timothy Ricks shared with us lately, and it's a really good trick. It helps keep the page. Now, if you use overflow hidden that is native to Webflow, some sticky elements might not work. So if you use overflow clip, on the other hand, these elements will definitely work better. And this is just something custom that we can always go for. So overflow clip for the page wrapper, which is this one, the whole page, and then we close the style and we just save that. So now everything, there's no horizontal scrolling, everything is within the page width. We'll bring this HTML embed and let's just call it global styles in case we need to add more styles later on. It's good to have one of those. Most of the templates that you download will have one of those where there are global styles, and just you keep adding to it. So now we're done with this part. Now for every page, since we only have one page, we're going to do this once, but for every page, you need to go through this part of the checklist. You'll need to check responsiveness above the base breakpoint. Now we don't have that, so this is checked. Responsiveness below the base breakpoints. Now we need to just double sure that everything is fine here. For example, this element is not centered. Maybe we'll need to center it somehow. So we'll just remove this justify, and it's centered. These are, for example, we can just set them to auto, and they just like look better, and so on and so forth. You just like make sure you just have a look at everything, and everything is fine. And then next we'll need to solve the audit panel issues. Now the audit panel is here. Just click here. If it's red, that means you have some issues. Just go through these issues. Now this is telling me that some images don't have a description tag. Now this image doesn't have a description tag, so we'll call this product feature. And then the next one is showcase. So this will be showcase. Same here, showcase. The same here, showcase. And the same here, showcase. Next in the audit panel is the avatar images. Now you can set these to decorative, and since they are like icons, or you can give them custom descriptions, that's up to you. So this is checked. Next is SEO meta description on page. So let's go to the page settings and make sure that we have meta descriptions. The title tag will be level flow, design, subscription, agency, and then maybe in the meta description we'll just specify that it's focused on Webflow services. And then this is the SEO meta description. The SEO open graph settings is the one below it. So open graph settings, you can just make these same as SEO meta tag, same as SEO title tag, same as SEO meta description. And then if you want to add an open graph image URL, we can actually add this image as the open graph. So we go to this asset panel, we'll go to the image, we'll copy the URL, we'll go back to our page settings, and under open graph image URL, we'll just paste that, and you'll see that this is how your open graph will be displayed once you share the link to your page. So let's save that. Now this is done. Custom code check. Now, if you have some custom code, it's good to check that everything is in order in this part of the page. So here's where custom codes go. Now, in our case, we don't have any custom codes, so this is checked. Let's save. Let's continue. Next is make sure consistent page padding is there. Now, since we're using a template, page padding, which is this element UI page padding, is universal. It's used 7 times on this page, so it's universal across the page. I know that because I've used this template many times before. The containers are all universal 7 times on this page, so I know this is good. The vertical padding is also universal, so I know that this is good. So these 3 needs to be checked. Now, if you're using a framework, these should be by default, so you should be thinking of that ahead. So before building, you should think of these elements, that you have the same page padding, the same containers, and the same vertical padding to keep consistency across the website. Next is element tags. Now, we already did this. We just make sure that all our sections have the tag. So this is header, this section is section, and so on and so forth. Asset check. Now, we checked our asset. We gave the meta description. Everything looks neat and as it should be. There's nothing to worry about here. Maybe I will need to remove this radius. This was from the previous template. So it's good to go through the assets and just check everything's fine. But I know that everything's fine since we did the video yesterday. We uploaded these assets. They were all fine. Images to have width and height if possible. Now, this is also good practice for Google Lighthouse to have width and height. Now, we have most of our images with width and height, and it's good practice to keep that. Next, description tag on all assets. Now, all the assets have a description tag. We've already did that. Icons to have decorative tags. Now, this is where I told you, like things like this. This is actually an SVG, but if you're using an icon that's an image, just make sure you give it a decorative tag. Next is unused assets removed from asset panel. Now, this is also good practice because if you copy and paste components, your asset panel will be filled with images like what I have here. So let's just select those, the ones that we're not using. So I selected all of them, delete, and okay, so we got cut off there. Not sure what happened. But let's keep going. So unused assets removed from the asset panel, check. Image compressed to WebP. Now all the images I see they're WebP. Maybe these images are still in PNG, so we can compress them. This is always good practice. I'm not sure if I'm using this one. Let's delete it also. So yeah, so this is done. Image compressed to WebP. Next, we need to test. Now that we have the website done, we need to test it on Safari and Chrome. Now Safari and Chrome are the most used web browsers, so it's good to test these both on both of these web browsers. So what I have here is this Chrome extension. It's called Mobile Simulator, and it gives you like the view of how the website is on mobile, on different devices, iPad Air, if you want to view it on a MacBook Air, and you can see how it looks like. Now this is useful for testing, and it's definitely a nice extension to have. Okay, so now that we're done, everything is completed. Let's say we tested on Safari and tested on Google Chrome. Let's go for that moment of truth. Let's test this website on Google Lighthouse. Very nice, very nice. We got 100%. Everything seems to be fine. Once you publish this on the main domain, you know, this website will perform amazingly. We can also test on GTmetrix. So GTmetrix is another testing platform. So you can copy this URL, go to GTmetrix and test the site. So we see how it performs here as well. There are other tools as well you can try out, see which one you prefer, depending on your region, maybe on your preference, on your client's preference. So it's always good to test out on different platforms and find bugs this way. So here on GTmetrix we have 100% grade A website. This is very good. So everything is good. You can also go to do user feedback and give this website to users, see if they notice anything's out of place. Maybe these testing tools didn't catch them. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope I taught you something here. Please don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and drop me in the comments if you have any in regards on how to improve this checklist. This checklist is down in the links below. It's for free. You can use it yourself. Make sure to optimize your websites before publishing. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for day 13 tomorrow. We'll also make something really cool. See you tomorrow.